see victory! A great new Altered fights at our side!
I feel a storm cloud coming down today.
The anomaly should have killed us. But instead, it left us something more. Altered and Outrider. Only we can lead them to a future. Whatever we were before, we're something new now. We were given a second life. We can't waste it.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Untitled Chapter, and this time I'm gonna do a demo impressions review of a game that everybody's been talking about, which is Outriders. Now, as you all know, or maybe you didn't, Outriders had a demo, came out maybe a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and everybody decided to try it on, and the opinions about it got very polarized. I mean, some people love it and some people hate it. There's kind of no middle ground. You gotta have one or the other. I went in, not really great expectations. I already play Warframe, which is a looter shooter. It's a live service looter shooter. So, I'm not really gonna be hyped to play another one, but, I decided to give it a try. So right off the get-go, the entire look and aesthetic of the game does not please me personally. I mean, I know that a lot of people like that Gears of War kind of feeling, those big brutes with big armors that go around. I'm also into that, but I like them to be slick, that anime design. I like that better. So when I looked at the game, I was like, okay, it is what it is. I mean, I'm sure there's an audience that likes the aesthetic, but just not me personally. So I did a prologue. Right at the prologue, I was very interested in the story because, I know it imitates a lot of Anthem. You're in a new place and you kind of get there and then, something happened and you don't know what it is, but I'm sure by the end of the story you will know. So, that got me interesting. What I didn't like about the prologue was, the shaders were very, very bad and sometimes, you can clearly see the geometry in some levels, and also the facial expressions were not polished enough. So, when you get those cinematics, you want to immerse yourself in the story and you keep looking at those mistakes, and I was like, well, maybe they need to work. But then again, it's a demo, so they can work at it before the game is actually released. After the prologue, you then can choose what kind of class you would say, or what kind of powers you want. Now on my first playthrough, I played the Technomancer. The Technomancer essentially is a long range or a medium to long range. He can put down a turret that launches missiles. He can throw a grenade, and he also does a melee that does ice. It freezes the opponent. So yeah, that's kind of his kit. So yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Now for my first playthrough, my brother was already playing the game. He already had a good build on his character. And he was also the character was a level higher than mine, so he helped me, and I went with him to actually he came into my world, and I went with him to complete the tasks. Now, the way the game is played is the game has a lot of cover, like in the Division, and so you use cover and then you shoot and then you move to another cover and shoot. But you get enemies rushing at you, and then you have to coordinate with your powers, and sometimes enemies can come in waves. It can be daunting many times, and this kind of playthrough of dodging to one place, getting behind and firing was something I was not used to, because again, I don't play the Division. My brother I should mention this, my brother plays the Division and Destiny. So this is a game that takes more from those elements than it takes from anything else, really, because you have the cover, you have the entire system of powers like you have with the Guardians, and so yeah. So our playthrough was like this, you know, you just went to cover, you know, get better gear, equip better weapons, and shoot, and then go forward a little bit. Sometimes the great thing about playing with another player is that you can flank enemies. You know, they don't know if you're solo, they can rush at you, but you're with a friend, you know, you can stay in one place. If they rush at you, the other player can flank them, and that was really cool. But like many people, I felt it was a little bit junky. You know, using the weapons, using the cover, running from place to place. I felt it wasn't flowing. You know, it was very, you know, decide to do one thing, do it, then decide to do another thing. It was very step-based. It wasn't clunky to change the weapons, use the weapons. I mean, the weapons don't feel great. They don't feel like you have any power. Yeah. So on that first playthrough, also I noticed a bunch of mistakes with lip sync, with sound. Some of the graphics of the facial expressions, like I said in the prologue, are really bad. They need to be polished a lot, or else, you know, they just rob you from that suspense of disbelief of looking at somebody talking about a mission or something like that. I did like some of the characters. I think there's a lot of room for the characters to develop their backgrounds. There's one of the vendors that actually collects memorabilia from old Earth. I think that is one of those things that, you know, they can explore a lot in the actual game. I don't know if they will, but I was interested in that. So yeah, I think the story is driving enough to get you to complete the game, and I think it has enough characters with enough character, enough attitude to get you to play. But then again, I had low expectations. I wasn't really hyped for it. When I finished the game and I killed the captain, the last boss, I was content with what I played, and I decided to play more with another class later. Now, two things were really bothering me. First of all, is when you're in cover, you don't have the sight. You don't know where you're aiming at. So if you want to get out of cover and shoot somebody, there's a sign. Then I realized there's a sign, but the dot is so small and so, you know, transparent that you can barely see it, especially with everything going around with the explosion and all that. That's one of the problems. The second problem was something Anthem also had, which is there's a lot of loading screens. There's a lot of loading screens between, you know, talking to somebody, loading screen, getting outside, going to the mission, loading screen. You know, there's a lot of that. I mean, coming in and out of some places, it can be a little bit bothersome to have those things there. Also, I kind of felt you have like a limited customization. You know, you don't have like, I mean, it is very similar to Destiny. I don't know if you'll have any skins. The look of your characters is like 6 or 8 faces that you can choose. You know, there's not a lot of, you know, maybe choosing the position of the eyes or the shape of the nose and something like that. There's not a lot of that. So, you know, once you start playing in a multiplayer level where there's a lot of other players with a hub, I mean, you're going to look around and you're going to see a lot of people that just look the same, really. And I think, you know, they maybe they work at the end game. At that game, maybe you have those things, but right now you don't. And I feel like, you know, if you're going to play multiplayer, let's give us some options. You know, maybe change the color, or maybe put other stuff in us that make us more different. And this was how I ended my first playthrough. Now I wanted to play it again. I said I'll play again the next day, but you know, I wasn't really feeling like playing because, you know, I already did it once. You know, I was content with the experience that I had. I'm sure, you know, I thought, you know, some people might enjoy some of that, but I was like at that level. I was at that level, at the middle level, which is whoever wants to play it, plays it. Who doesn't play it, fine. So I really took a little time to play it again. It took me about like 3 days, maybe 5, until I decided, okay, I'm just going to play it again because I want to try another class. And then I'll see it. And this time I played it alone. So in my second playthrough, I played with Trickster. Now the Trickster has an ability that I really love. I also have it on Warframe, which is he can stop time. He can create a bubble to stop time. And if you know me, you know I'm a Limbo player in Warframe, and I love that. Actually, I forgot to say when I talked about Limbo that if I had to choose between some kind of superpower, I wouldn't choose super strength or flight or invisibility or anything, or any of those that people usually choose. I would choose to stop time because I think that ability is amazing. So the Trickster can stop time, and his melee can actually slow down enemies, and he's a much more in-your-face kind of a character. He's not a long-distance character to play with. His abilities are very in-your-face. He even has a blade that cuts through enemies and, you know, turns them into skeletons. So because I wasn't playing with my brother, and I don't usually play the Destiny or the Division, I play Warframe, I decided to play more to my strengths. The strengths not being the weapons, which are clunky, but the powers. And let me tell you, I did a 180 on this game. I really did. The first time I played it, I was very, aware of where the enemies are, so just, just pointing and shooting and pointing and shooting, position yourself and pointing and shooting. The second time I played, I said, I'm going to run to them, I'm going to use my powers, I'm going to melee and slam them, and I'm going to use my bubble, and then I'm going to shoot them with a shotgun and something like that. And oh my god, the difference was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, I didn't have like a big opinion of the game before, but I didn't have a bad one. But now I have a good opinion about the game. I think it comes down to what are you expecting or how you play this game. Because when I was playing my second time, man, I was like, slam, I slow them, shotgun, slam, shotgun, punch, shotgun, bubble, shotgun. Even against the boss, which I had I had a lot of trouble beating because, he was always far away, so I was using my distance. I was using distance and firing at the distance to get him. I then realized that I had a teleport. I had a teleport where I could get behind him, when I immediately appear behind him. And then I could use the bubble to stop time, and then I could shoot him. And that's what I did. I teleported behind him, I used stop, and then I shoot him. And I could go with a shotgun and landed about 2 or 3 shots before he then ran away. But it was a complete game changer. And I mean, it was a game changer. The way you play this game and the way you enjoy this game has a lot to do with what you play or how you play. So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more the second time. I was playing it a lot more like I play Warframe. You gotta position yourself. You don't use cover. You use cover just to to let the cooldown finish. But then you just go all out. And they say in the tips that they gave you that you should be aggressive. But one thing is to be aggressive, and another thing is to actually know how to be aggressive. Because people think be aggressive is to use your weapons. And the weapons, to me, are not the focus of this game. It is the elements. The weapons serve the powers and not the other way around. It's not like, oh, you have this great legendary shotgun and now you're going to decimate everything. No, the legendary shotgun is going to serve your power. And when you use your powers, then you can use the shotgun to do a lot more damage and not the other way around. You're not going to be running to people or trying to shoot them and not using your abilities. You should use your abilities first and then do this. I mean, at least that's the mentality I got. So after all this, I enjoy the game a lot more. I'm interested to understand, to play more of it, and I'm interested even to know the end of the story. I know it's not very relevant to a lot of people, but I think it was the main focus for me is to play for the story, to see how it ends. There's a 13-minute video that explains what's the end game of this game. I saw it. I wasn't that much interested. I mean, it depends on who plays with you, and just how good is that content, but I wasn't really interested in it. But if I could try in a few words to explain how this game is for some people, it'll be like this. If you're a player of Destiny or a player of the Division, this will feel like a downgrade of those games. The weapons are clunky, the movement is not as optimized as in the Division, you don't get to be that tactical, and you don't get to use your powers in that way as you do with maybe with your Guardians or anything like that. But if you look at this game and you feel like it's a Deus Ex where you can replay different quests, you can just lower or higher the difficulty and just replay the quests instead of doing the entire game all over again, which I had to do both times I played Deus Ex. Or if you look at this as an Horizon Zero Dawn that you can play in co-op, or if you look at this as a Diablo and a third-person shooter, I think you will enjoy it. I think the thing that stuck in people's heads is the phrase looter shooter, and so you immediately are taken to points of reference like those, even Warframe, Destiny, The Division. But if you look at other games and see this as a step up from those games, and not as a step down from those other games, which are even live service. No, this is not a live service. This is just the game you finish and then you have multiple activities at the end. I think you will enjoy it. I think there's more here than people realize at first. Like I said, I'm not into this type of aesthetic, so I'm not really hyped for the game per se, but as long as it doesn't fall into the trap of being another Godfall, which is shooting, which I think it will grab a community and will have, as long as it have a good community, because people will not enter the game at day one or even year one, but if they enter later and there's still people playing with those activities, those extra activities, I think the game could do very well. I really do. That's just my opinion on it. I hope you enjoyed it. This is kind of a long video, I'm sorry, but there's a lot to talk about this game because this game is very polarizing. But again, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and as always, have a great game, guys.
As the last remnants of humanity destroy themselves, the signal is still out there. And with it lies the key to our salvation. We journey from the ruins of our old world and into what lies beyond.
The things I've seen, even I do not believe them.
Where I am taking these two, there's no coming back.
You think you're dreaming? What the? This is real.
John!
Do what you were sent here for! Go! Beyond the frontier!
It's the end of the goddamn world out there.
All this persistence, this world is crashing down. And what will be left?
Beyond here, there's only death.
I'm finding that signal.